Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm super excited after a lot of chit chat about what is happening in the crypto space, and a lot of people getting quite nervous also, given the narrative that the government is taking. We figured this time's podcast we would bring in an expert, Pradeep Simhan. I met him at the Traders Carnival. I took away a lot from his speech on crypto. He's been in the space for a very long time, and he's one of those people who's basically all in on the crypto story. I personally felt I was unqualified to talk about crypto because, to be quite honest, I don't have any skin in the game. I don't have my money in it. Whereas somebody like Pradeep has researched this, studied this, and continues to be one of the most educated people in the space. So I'm super happy to have him with us. And today is going to be basically us covering what is happening right now and getting his perspective on what we'll see going forward and what investors, potential investors, existing investors should do going forward. So thank you so much for joining us, Pradeep.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shreyas.
So, welcome, Pradeep. And I think today's conversation is going to be super exciting for two reasons. First thing is you're the first guest on our podcast, Decluttered. So, welcome on board. And the second
Thank
thing
you.
is, as Shreyas said, both I and Shreyas, we have always talked about the equity markets and we have pretty much zero exposure in the crypto space. So, I'll throw myself under the bus here and I'll call myself a crypto noob. And in today's episode, I'm going to be the flag bearer of all the crypto newbies and I'm going to ask you all the basic annoying questions. So you have to put up with that. And
Right.
yeah, and for a long time, I have been a skeptic. I mean, I never believed that crypto could be anything. But with the kind of hype that it's getting in the mainstream media lately, I don't even, I'm pretty confused, right? Like, just like many other
Mhm.
people, probably some people have all these apps on their phones and they have put in some amount of investment into the crypto space, but basically they don't know what's the fundamental aspect of crypto, or they have a lot of confusions around. And with the current ongoing developments in the crypto space, maybe be it the government trying to pass on a bill, trying to enforce some regulations and trying to introduce its own digital currency. So a lot of chaos in the market, and I don't think there's a better time to have you on board, and pretty pumped up about this conversation. What do you think, Shreyas?
Absolutely.
Great. Great. So, okay. So just to start with an introduction. So my name is Pradeep Simhan. I'm 41. I used to be a chip design engineer, and then I retired from that role in January, and I went full-time crypto. And then now I'm basically joining CoinWealth as a crypto, as a fund manager, as well as um, a crypto expert. So I started when I started, I heard about Bitcoin back in 2010, 2011, and there was no way to get it back then. And I found out later there was a website where you could go and basically click on it and you would get 5 Bitcoin for free once upon a time.
Oh, wow, that's a dream.
Five,
Okay, this still
five.
Yeah.
exists.
No, the website exists, but you don't get Bitcoin from it anymore. So I didn't do anything for a few years, and then 2013, Bitcoin went from something to $100, and then we were all talking about it. And then that's when, I heard about mining and all these. There were the second era of coins which came out, which was basically Dogecoin, Litecoin, and all that. So during that time, I heard about mining, and I started off by mining cryptocurrencies. Basically, I built a rig in the house, I put it up there, and I started mining with Dogecoin. And this was the week that Dogecoin came out back in December 2013.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so like the first few months were amazing, and it was crazy, and um, you could see great rewards, and then the rewards obviously go down over time, which is the case for all cryptos. So that's how I really started with crypto, by mining Dogecoin, and I held on to it for a long time. until recently when I switched over to completely Bitcoin, and I am a completely Bitcoin maximalist, but unlike other maximalists that you meet on crypto Twitter, I do tend to go elsewhere as well and then come back.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
there is I mean, first of all, I can't even imagine the kind of gains you would have seen over the period
Okay.
from
Mhm.
2013, and most importantly, I think that's another question as well that people have. Like there are so many of these cryptos, and of course, everyone
Mhm.
knows the Bitcoin and Ethereum, but there are so many, and some come into the limelight and fade away very quickly, and some last for a
Right.
while. So it can be a very confusing space that way.
It is a very confusing space, and especially right now, I think there's um, 10,000 coins listed on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. So you have no idea what's. I mean, it's pretty much trying to stock pick,
Absolutely.
across from all the stocks in the globe. Um, so basically, I was just a buy and hold guy for the next 8 years or the next 7 years, and then I never sold any of my crypto um, until about 2020 when the pandemic hit. So then I went all in. 2020, I started researching a lot more on DeFi is where DeFi what is what piqued my interest. Until then, it was kind of a boring space for me as well. There was a lot of ICOs and stuff like that, but
So
I
don't
never
mind me
participated
saying
in
this,
that.
Pradeep. Don't mind me saying this, but the thing is, we are completely oblivious to the crypto space. I'm sure most of the audience as well. So when you say DeFi and these other terminology, I think if you could break it down, that would be great.
Okay, so DeFi is decentralized finance.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay, decentralized finance where everything is done on the basis of smart contracts. So somebody writes the smart contract, and you interact with the smart contract, and there are no people, there are no intermediaries. It is
Absolutely.
a risky space because there are malicious smart contracts as well. But by and large, if you stick to well-known dexes and you know places which have been audited, you should not get into trouble.
Okay.
There
And
are other risks, but the people risk gets removed.
excellent.
Pradeep, I want to interrupt here. So when you said that till 2019 or something, till this DeFi concept came to your attention, it was
Hmm.
pretty much boring space for you, right? So what got you started in 2013 when you started mining Dogecoin and all that?
Yeah,
So
like
that
what really
that at
brought
that
you in?
for me, that at that time it was the electronics part of it. So I could basically mine using a system which I assembled together. And I've always assembled my own computers. I've been working with computers since I was 17, yes, 17 maybe, yeah. So that's 24 years now. It's been a while. So I could assemble a system. I could put it here in my house and have it run and make money for me when I was
So,
sleeping.
so the attraction was basically you're literally using hardware and electricity to
Yeah,
generate
yeah,
something that people want to buy. So, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
I have something that I can partly relate to in this. So I used to play a game called World of Warcraft, and I could set up
Hmm.
bots which do like a mundane task. So like you're mining for resources, literally mining for resources, or chopping wood or whatnot,
Uh-huh.
and picking
Uh-huh.
up. And what you do is, I don't want to sit and do that all day. So you have a script that does it for you. And
Uh-huh.
later I go to the whatever market is there in that game and sell it, and actually, you can convert a lot of that into real money. So I kind of can relate in that aspect.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's a pretty interesting thing because I played World of Warcraft. I've never really done that. Yeah, yeah. But I only played World of Warcraft for a little while in the middle. Yeah. So right. So that was the thing. You could sit there, have electricity and hardware, make money for you. That was the main that was passive income for me back then.
So, if someone wants to follow your path, do you think it's still lucrative to take that path? Like, do you still think that the returns are, tangible now?
There are still good coins. You can still mine Ethereum today. I don't know how long that's gonna last. There are other coins which are coming up which do need people to set up hardware and run mining, but these will be like very specific, and so you will have to set up that hardware and run only that coin. You'll have to research, but general GPU mining, there are very few coins left today which are still worthwhile. The main one is Ethereum, obviously, and then if that gets converted to a proof of stake, that one goes away.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a very controversial question, and the answer to this question should never be taken as investment advice for all our audience. So, if you want to bet big on top 3 coins, which are those 3 going to be?
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and any of the other top 10, apart from the stable coins.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the use cases of each coin going forward, but I'm really curious to know what's the use case of each coin that gets you interested in. Is it just the demand for those coins, or do you really believe in the fundamental use case of that particular coin?
Right. I do believe in the fundamental use case of any coin, and particularly because I do a lot in DeFi. I tend to see if there's any real world use case. So right now, if you look in the top 20 coins by market cap, about 13 of them are DeFi. That's just a rough idea. So I go in, I go test out all the networks. I go and see, what farms there are, what exchanges there are on that exchange, on that blockchain, and then I will take a call. There are some places, where I really don't like to put a lot of money. I don't particularly like the network or the farms or anything on it. And there's some which I love. So, for example, Polygon. Polygon is my favorite blockchain today, and like 70% of my stuff is on Polygon today.
Okay.
Excellent.
So, if you want to explain what a Bitcoin is to a complete newbie, he doesn't know what Bitcoin is, but he has just heard the word Bitcoin from all these advertisements and his friends, and like even he has put some of his money into the Bitcoin using some wallets or something like that. So, if you want to explain the concept of Bitcoin or blockchain or decentralized finance to basically a 10-year-old kid, how do you go about it?
Okay. And as an elevator pitch, because I'm sure you can go on for hours about this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So to start with, there's a thing called cryptography, right? So you have a public key and you have a private key. Okay. So the public key is what everybody else in the world see. The private key is something that only you have. Okay. And that's the basis for your wallet. Okay, so Bitcoin, what it does is just if you look at blockchain or Bitcoin or any kind of thing, it's just a ledger. Okay, so I'm gonna stay specific to Bitcoin right now, and then we'll move to the others. But Bitcoin basically is a ledger which is about one megabyte in size per block. Okay. Now, in that block, there'll be so many transactions, people sending Bitcoin from somebody to somebody else. And that's pretty much what Bitcoin does today. Okay, so all the transactions will be a sending of Bitcoin from one wallet to another wallet. And the miner who mines this block is basically getting a reward of so much Bitcoin. So in the first Bitcoin block, which Satoshi mined, was they're called the Genesis block. So he created that block, and that gave him 50 Bitcoin the first time. So that was the original Bitcoin. And then other people went in and mined Bitcoin along the way. So these guys, for every block which they mined, they got 50 Bitcoin. And then it, okay, now we're getting very complicated over here. So stop me if you if you have any questions. So basically, each block mined gives you a reward for the miner. Okay. Do you want me to get more technical and tell you what is the mining?
So,
yes, yes, of course.
absolutely.
Okay.
So if I'm visualizing this right, so first I'm imagining like a 3D cube wherein like the ledger itself is each block. So it's made by multiple blocks, which is adding in each direction. And those are the ledgers of the transactions. So when you say public and private key, it's like the public can see that I have made XYZ transactions in these blocks. But with my private key, only I can see what is in my coin wallet. Is this kind of like what?
No, the public can see what transactions. Okay, so there's a wallet and there's the blockchain.
Right.
So all your money is always on the blockchain.
Right.
Okay. Your wallet has the private key, which allows you to spend that money.
Got it.
So that's, I mean, your Bitcoin is always sitting on the blockchain, but your private key is the only one allowed to spend that Bitcoin.
Got it.
So which is why, you know, when you have like a situation like, you know, Lebanon or something, you have that Bitcoin stored in your wallet. Nobody can take it from you.
Right. No matter where I go, I know my key and I'm sorted.
Yeah.
Like my money's on there. And I think that's one of the biggest things that has initially at least was drawing in people that, for example, when we had this whole situation with Afghanistan, if I had all of my money in Bitcoin and let's say I'm from Afghanistan and I want to flee the country, nobody can take it from me. Like it's not like physical gold or like stocks wherein, you know, it's tied to that exchange. It's held by a depository. Here it's completely, you know, only I have my password and nobody else knows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have one question regarding Bitcoin. Okay. So since we are discussing about the Bitcoin, we have this theory, or I don't know if it's a fact. They say that there is a limited supply of Bitcoin, right? Like you can only have 21 million Bitcoin. So is this the case only with the Bitcoin, or all the other forms of digital currency, all other cryptocurrencies also have that limited supply?
Well, some of them do, some of them don't. So if you look at Bitcoin, what happened was this person called Satoshi Nakamoto, who nobody knows who that is. He started it, and then a few other people joined him, Hal Finney, one of them. And then about 3 years down the line, Satoshi Nakamoto left. And all the Bitcoin which he mined are sitting in his wallet untouched today. And people keep an eye on this wallet all the time to see if anything happens, to see if anything moves.
If he sells, everyone wants out, right? Like it's like he's the foundation that's holding it together. Yeah.
Right. Along that way, a lot, when you say 21 million, so about 3 million with Satoshi, say about another 3 million early Bitcoin have been lost. Like people who just had it in an old computer and then you threw away the old computer, you're never getting that Bitcoin back. Or they formatted their hard drive and their wallet was on that hard drive. It's gone. So now you're basically left with maybe 15, 16 million Bitcoin.
Okay, so you say that like some of the coins have that limited supply and some of the coins don't. Right. So this again begs a question, like before and all the countries used to print money based on gold standard, right? And everyone thought that, okay, if the country has a particular amount of gold reserves, this is the maximum amount of money that they can print and all that. But somehow the countries managed to circumvent that rule and all that. So how can an investor, or how can basically a skeptic be sure that the number of bitcoins that are in supply will be capped to 21 million, and something won't happen, and it's like just like stock split and all that kind of stuff. Like there won't be some bitcoin split going forward in the future.
So there have been cases where people wanted to change things in the Bitcoin network, right? And then we've seen splits like Bitcoin Cash, we've seen Bitcoin SV. The thing is, the miners need to follow. So the people who are mining Bitcoin need to adopt whatever happens, whatever change happens. So the day, if they say we're going to increase increase the limit to more than 21 million, every single miner needs to agree to that. And the problem is the miners know that if they agree to it, Bitcoin's value will crash.
Yeah.
So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not like somebody said this and it's going to happen. Everybody on the network needs to agree to it for it to happen.
So it's not only
Or a majority of the
decentralized,
people.
it's
Yeah,
also democratized. So
it's
here I want to
democratized.
sort of move on to basically how most people today, there is, if not, I won't talk about valuation bubbles because I have no idea how to value cryptocurrency, but I'll talk about hype bubbles, right? So everywhere you go, suddenly even my grandparents know what cryptocurrency is. Right, they've heard about it on the local news channel, they've heard of the Bitcoin. So suddenly a lot more people know, and with this also comes people with not the best intentions. So like, in fact, every video I put out, there'll be somebody talking about invest on this cryptocurrency XYZ. All these new people coming in, mostly because of fear of missing off. Right? They don't see the technology aspect of it. They're not really in it for the story. They just heard that somebody bought something, it went up 10 times, and they want in. And they're coming in, and with that kind of interest also comes all the kinds of government regulations wherein governments are a little bit afraid. They're afraid of money laundering, tax evasion. They're also afraid that their people will get cheated. You have all these rug pull situations where every other day we hear of a pump and dump scheme. And in fact, I'm sure Praful also has been approached by many people who want you to promote their Bitcoin
Yeah, of course.
platforms, and with like they give you a cut and all. So it's very vague. Now I just want to get your take, Pradeep, on what these people should be doing, because there are some people coming in with, okay, I see the potential here, I consider it an investment. Some people are coming in purely for, what, I might double my money. And there seems to be a lot of vagueness because as far as I know, exchanges not regulated by SEBI should technically not be operating in India, but there are many that are operating for Bitcoin. I don't know how that whole thing works. I'm like very truly uneducated when it comes to the modalities of this, and there are so many we don't know which ones to trust. Also, like there are some big names, many people keep talking about the same ones. Could you cover a little bit of that? Like, what should these guys, like people who want to now make an investment, or people who already have investments and now are starting to reconsider whether they did the right thing or not because the government is telling. I mean, I look at it this way: if I was holding on to, let's say, gold, silver, or something else I consider an asset, and tomorrow the government comes and says, we are banning this. I don't even know what this ban means, to be very honest. So could you cover some of that, and what the real story is there, because it's very cluttered, and I'd like to
Yeah,
get to
and
that.
to add on to that, Shreyas, I think look at the kind of marketing campaigns that we have had in the recent times of about this crypto and about these all these ads, targeting specifically the lower middle class. 100 रुपए डालो, कुछ तो बदलेगा, सिर्फ सो इच डालो, all these kinds of taglines and all that. So I feel that there is a good amount of push to it as much as there is a pull to it, right? The people are getting gravitated towards the crypto space. At the same time, the companies are also actively spending a lot on this marketing campaign. So there is a good amount of push as well. So what do you think about this? As Shreyas rightly said, there is a lot of, chaos and confusion around this thing. So
Right. Yeah. So it's a very unregulated space. It's still the Wild West. You can equate it to basically what was happening in America in the early 1800s and 1900s when people are still discovering the landscape. And that's what's happening today. So if you look at it, Bitcoin's been around for 13 years now. Ethereum has been around for 6. Um, that's pretty much it. Everything else is like after that. There are older coins like Coin as well, but like 6 to 8 years is not a long time in finance, and a lot of things are changing. The way that real world assets are getting monetized on the blockchain today. This is probably when someone discovered stocks. That's what uh, when the first stock exchange went up and they said, okay, we're going to sell our company and we're going to give you
Amsterdam.
shares of paper. Yeah, Amsterdam. This is like that. It's a completely new financial system. We only with a lot more transparency as compared to how stocks are today. So basically what my philosophy was, is number one is Bitcoin. Number two is any of the layer one blockchains. Okay, and we're talking about the good blockchains, because there are blockchains which will eventually fade into obscurity. Um, but these layer one blockchains are building the network itself. They're building the infrastructure on which everything else gets built on. And now you have a lot of application level coins which are coming out. And that is kind of, you're seeing the NFTs, you're seeing the decentralized finance, you're seeing gaming. All these are applications which
But
are
how,
sitting on top of the layer one blockchains. So
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, but like, how do you know when something's clearly a pump and dump? So we had this Squid Coin, because that also technically had an application. There was going to be a game. There was, but so like at the onset.
Yeah,
What I understood when, so when you're talking about layer one, it's kind of like how in stock markets we say stick to market leaders, right? Stick to the big guys who have chunk of the
exactly,
market share. And but
exactly.
so is there any like 1, 2, 3 parameters of how you say this is a pump and dump and this is not?
So when you started trading, what did you do? Did you go and buy like the cheapest penny stock? Okay, you might have done that, but and a lot
I
of
was
people
about
do
to
that.
say that.
But but
Yes.
but but in general, what do people tell you to do? Buy the blue
Stick to the
chip.
blue chip
Yeah, buy the
companies.
blue chips, do
Exactly.
your due
Buy the blue
diligence.
chip.
Yeah.
Do your due diligence. Buy the blue chip. Do your due diligence. And there are these blue chips which are there. You're not going to. I mean, it's not going to skyrocket, but it's been around for a while. A lot of people. It's got a lot of network effect. So buy the blue chip and then do your research.
Which are too
Right.
big to fail, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Where places where institutions themselves have money. So that gives you some confidence. What about the regulation part, Pradeep? Like, were governments suddenly not so happy in their seats? China, India, you're seeing a lot of
Right.
people openly come out and trying to take back control.
So if you look at it, China has banned Bitcoin every year for the last 8 years. So India has banned Bitcoin, or the RBI prevented us from transacting with Indian rupees on cryptocurrency,
Okay.
right? And then they overturned that. Um, Nigeria banned Bitcoin, and then the number of Bitcoin peer-to-peer transactions skyrocketed in Nigeria.
Right.
Yeah, so um, they can prevent you from transacting with the local currency,
Illegal
but they
tender.
can't
Yeah.
ban you from holding it, because at the end of the day, it's 12 words in your head. So the seed
Right.
phrase is all you need to remember. You can go anywhere.
But do I get into trouble?
Uh,
Like, I get that people buy so they buy a stable coin, which is like US dollar denominated, and then they
mhm.
buy crypto. Now, I have a very simple question. If I were to transfer X money into a certain account and then use that to buy a stable coin and then buy Bitcoin and hold it, can I get into trouble for that? Like, what is that? I mean,
No.
Yeah.
Why would you get it? So if you're like an upstanding citizen and you used money which you earned to buy something, and probably didn't do stuff like buy drugs or something on the dark net, why would you get into trouble? You're just buying an asset and holding it, and the
Okay.
time comes for it to sell, and eventually the government comes up with some kind of taxation scheme. You just pay your taxes on it. Why should you get into trouble?
So what does the ban mean
Yes.
then? Like, I don't get what the ban means then. So I can do it, then what is the ban?
So they're talking about regulating it. They're not going to ban it. I don't know what the government's going to do, but it's not really. What can I say? See, if the government bans cryptocurrency today, we've got some of the biggest cryptocurrency companies. If you look at Polygon Matic, Polygon Matic is from Bangalore, and
Okay.
it's a top 20 cryptocurrency. And what happens if you just want that company? It's over. I don't know how the correct. Sorry, I don't know the
Valuation.
market cap right now, but
Mhm.
it's roughly in the tens of billions. I think it's about 40 billion or something today.
Wow.
Um, you have all that money leaving the country if they ban cryptocurrency. And that's just one company. There are hundreds of startups, and India is, I mean, probably we're top in innovation in this space, and we should see a lot of good companies come up with crypto platforms.
Absolutely. It adds to the
Yeah.
So
economy, adds to employment, adds to,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Basically,
So
once
so
once
so
something becomes too big to fail, nobody can ban it. It goes by that, right?
Exactly. So if you're just looking at a few bad examples which happened in the past and then saying we're going to ban cryptocurrency, how about we ban cash? Because like half
We did.
the, I mean, if you look at all the scams which have been done in the past, it's all been done in cash.
Yes,
Absolutely.
of course. Now, Pradeep,
So
talking about the regulation, let's say the government starts regulating this crypto space. Now, as much as I understand about Bitcoin, one of the core philosophies of Bitcoin is decentralization and non-trackability, right? Correct me here
no,
if non-trackability is,
no, no,
is it
no,
is
no,
it
no.
the
So, like I said, everybody has a wallet.
Mhm,
Right? So if you know my wallet address, you know
mhm.
exactly where my money is coming and where it's gone. You can literally just look through all the transactions and figure out where it's been. So it's not like it's completely anonymous. There
Mhm.
are privacy coins which allow you to make these anonymous transactions, but um, as far as Bitcoin's concerned, it's literally a website where you can go and look up what has happened.
Everything's available on the grid, basically.
Yeah. So you just
Okay.
go and look at it at a blockchain explorer. You can figure out exactly where everything is going.
So, Pradeep, something that I've always felt is that governments at this point don't aren't too concerned with crypto because on a transactional basis, it's not playing too big a role. That people are not using it for day-to-day payments, and they don't really have to pivot their fiscal policy or monetary policy around crypto. Because at this point, I've always figured that they look at it as this big casino where transactions are happening, and regardless of what happens, the government gets paid, so they're happy. It's not affecting their economy directly in any way at this point, so they're happy there as well. But what do you think they would do, and how would they react if we start seeing crypto becoming a more frequently used mode of transaction eventually, where even basic
Basically,
bare
if it becomes
minimum.
mainstream
Yeah,
legal tender, basically.
absolutely.
Right. So um, yes, there could be that situation which it happens, but I don't think governments will allow it to happen. Um, so if you look at it, why when you there's a thing called the Genesis block of Bitcoin, which is the first block ever mined. So Satoshi Nakamoto left a message in the code of that block. So the Times, 3rd of January 2009, Chancellor on the brink of the second bailout for banks. Okay. So I mean that's the message. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not trying to interpret what it means, but this started just after the 2008 crisis, and then all these banks were bailed out, and the government at that time in 2008 put in 800 and something billion dollars
bailout. Yeah.
They pumped in $800 billion plus in 2008. Okay. In COVID, they pumped in a lot more than that.
Somewhere around 2.5, 3 trillion.
Somewhere in the region of 4+ trillion from the start of March to today, March 2020 to today. Now, governments have been basically printing money and inflating themselves out of debt for the last, ever since
forever. They've always done that. Yeah.
No, since they went off the gold standard, and then so if you look at it, if you look at your father or grandfather, basically had a job. Okay, they had a job. They could run their family, and they could probably do everything which a normal person could do. Did your parents or grandparents ever invest in the stock market? Or let's look, because I'm a little older than you, probably your grandparents.
No.
So they could get by with their lives pretty decently with bank interest and a job, right? Today we have to look for alpha. We have to look for where is the edge to get over this government printing.
Absolutely.
Inflation
is that hidden tax.
Inflation is the hidden tax. So if you look at monetary policy, and you divide like the NASDAQ by M2 money, we're not even crossed 2008 yet. So 2008 was the peak as far as I see. We've not crossed 2008. Sensex has definitely not crossed to whatever levels it was in 2008. If you just divide it by the monetary policy, it might have gone up in the absolute number, but divided by the money, and it's not crossed 2008.
Yeah, accounting for inflation.
The only things which I've seen which hold their value is one is gold, which holds its value pretty well. It's pretty much a straight line. The other one is Bitcoin, which actually goes up. Individual stocks can give you returns, but you have to be really good at picking individual stocks. Okay, if you do a basket, it doesn't work, because you're just looking at an index then, and that hasn't crossed 2008. So where would a regular person put their money?
A mix of these, like real estate, gold, stocks, and cryptos now, right? So diversifying across asset classes for currency.
Diversifying across asset classes. So I'm not saying go all into cryptos, go everywhere into cryptos, but realize that cryptos are here to stay, and that is a very, very good hedge against inflation. Bitcoin is a very, very good hedge against inflation. You can speculate elsewhere. You can speculate with stocks. You can speculate with altcoins. But like, if there are some things which are fixed, you can stick to gold, real estate, Bitcoin.
Absolutely. I think, in fact, something that it's good to see a lot of people come out and say they were wrong. So I think initially everybody was like, all cryptos are going to zero. This is a fad. This is like the greater fool theory. But now a lot of fund houses themselves are saying, look, right or wrong doesn't really matter. The price is king, and clearly with the volumes, with the liquidity, and the relative stability, that when I say stability, not price stability, the stability of the existence of cryptocurrencies, a lot of institutions are now coming out and saying, you know what, we have to allocate something to this asset class, because whether you want to deny it or not, I mean, you can't deny it. It is an asset class now. Now, you might like it, you might not like it, you might have been,
Exactly.
and sometimes you just feel that I've just been against this all my life. Now, if I like switch around, I look weak. I mean, this is not how finance works. This is
Mhm.
now, if everyone believes it's an asset class, it is one. So, yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, Pradeep. Yeah. So I just want to ask you one question here, a little more like specific. As an Indian investor, like how do I know these exchanges? Which there's so many ads, and the thing is, when I see the different names of different companies that are coming forward saying that use our platform to buy cryptocurrency, how safe are these things? Like who is safe, who's not safe? Like how do you know this?
S- So, the advantage and the disadvantage of cryptocurrency is self-custody. Okay. So
Hmm.
you can custody all your crypto with your own wallets, and which is a disadvantage because if you lose it, you lose it. It's gone. It's gone forever.
Like the
So
three
if you,
million you spoke of.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it could be another 3 million on top of that as well. So you have no idea how much is lost until today because we're just looking at coins which have not moved in the last 5 years or so. And then we assume that some percentage of them are lost. So that is the advantage. But however, today you see there are a lot of the security is improved much more than what it was in 2012, 2013 up to 2016. You've got hardware wallets which are very safe, which are very secure, and you can withdraw your crypto into your hardware wallet. Exchanges have also improved their security since the early days when you would hear about exchanges getting hacked because everything is again on a blockchain. So these exchanges have to keep up with their security. So otherwise, there are going to be intrusions all the time, and they're going to lose money. So first thing is self custody. Otherwise, um, you know, if it's a small amount of money, I would say leave it on the exchange. If it's something which is not your life savings, um, just leave it on the exchange because there's a better chance that the exchange has better security than you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have another question here because what you said really got me thinking. So there was this point where they said in Indian exchanges, crypto crashed, right? So certain cryptocurrencies were crashing in Indian exchanges.
Mhm.
So then can I buy it there, put it onto my physical wallet, take it abroad to wherever, yeah, let's say US, and sell it there? Is that like an arbitrage opportunity? Because there was a lot of talk in this regard as well.
Yeah, so some people have actually done this. So we'll have to go a little in depth for this. So there's a thing called the kimchi premium, which Korean exchanges pay over US exchanges. Okay, and um, so there's some people who have actually started the career doing this and now have become billionaires. In India, we have the same thing. So all of crypto is priced in US dollars today, and we have USDT as a stable coin. Okay,
Yeah.
so unfortunately, in India, we can't get USDT directly.
Okay.
Somebody has to get us. We unless you're in America and you can go to Tether or Coin and get USDT straight away from them. You don't have direct access to USDT or USDC. So when it comes to Indian exchanges, you have to pay a slight premium on top of it,
Okay.
and usually it's like 5 to 6% or 8%,
Okay.
and that's what determines the price of Bitcoin or Ethereum in US in INR. So in the last week, when the fear came about of the ban, people started selling their USDT for much lower than 75 rupees, which is today's US dollar price, well, roughly
Hmm.
about US dollar. So it dropped down to 60, and then suddenly you could buy Bitcoin at a 10 or 20% discount to what it was on the foreign exchange.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So you can do the arbitrage, but you need to figure out a way to close that INR to USD loop.
Because you're paying
That
5%.
logistical loop needs to be closed.
Yeah, the logistical loop needs to be closed because you're getting it in America. You again, money is in India. So how do you can do the crypto side, but how do you close the financial side? Yeah, and that could be that
And
the
I
government,
think
I think, would frown on.
and I think this makes sense when you do it at a large scale, right? Doing it at a small scale doesn't make sense.
Right. So the government might probably frown on doing that.
True.
Taking US dollars out and then trying to get them back in. That, as long as you're doing it all within India, I think you're okay. But we're going into a grayer area in that arbitrage. Yeah.
Fair enough. Excellent.
Well,
So
one very controversial question, Shreyas, I have for Mr.
yeah.
Pradeep. Do you think we are in a crypto bubble right now?
Not yet. We will be. I mean, we're not. We haven't seen those. The massive weeks. If you look at how Bitcoin did the last
Those
time,
euphoric price swings.
yes, you've not seen the euphoric price swings. So I think there's kind of accumulation going on right now because we're not going to see this price again, and now, especially since the institutions are in. They've got a lot more tricks than us, retail people. They have a lot of tricks. So
I mean,
they want to buy
retailers
cheap
are
Bitcoin.
in the equity markets for like forever now, and still now like we haven't been able to figure out the tricks of these big players. And imagine crypto
Exactly.
markets.
Exactly.
So Pradeep is like the biggest crypto bull I've met. Like he's basically all in. And the thing is, unlike other people, he's actually also got his money there. So yeah.
Right.
Super.
So we're up against institutions right now, and they're gonna do everything to get the cheap Bitcoin in, and then they've got banks. So I have a feeling, the banks want to buy Bitcoin and sell us the Satoshi, sell the public the Satoshi. So that's when they'll allow the price to go to whatever natural levels it should go to. When the banks
when you say natural levels, what is your expected natural levels?
So there's no limit. There's no upper limit. As long as governments keep printing money, the price is going to keep going up. But 21 million Bitcoin, out of which 6 million are gone, and so much left for the whole world.
So when you talk about there is no upper limit for the price swing, so are you talking specifically about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency?
I'm talking specifically about Bitcoin. About Bitcoin. If you look at other cryptocurrencies, they can go up, they can go down, depending on how well. So everything apart from Bitcoin is a company that somebody creates and runs. So there is a CEO, there's there's someone giving it direction. Bitcoin is a people-run establishment, which is a community establishment. The founder is gone. He's not there anymore. It's just a network running it now. Yeah, so that is where I have the most faith. I will speculate with others, but at the end of the day, I'm going to come back to Bitcoin. So there is no upper limit. As long as governments keep printing money, there will be a demand. It's like gold. It's like gold 2.0. There will be somebody who wants it.
And eventually we are going to run out of gold as well, the same way.
We're going to run out of both. Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. I think that's, on a closing note, to put it across quite simply, I think as far as any average individual is concerned, even if they have not taken a huge amount of time to research this, they have to acknowledge that this is a very real asset class and potentially they've got something to lose by not at least finding out enough. Because the longest time excuses people made was, I just don't know it, I don't understand it. Then it's about time you put in some effort to do that, because it is an asset class that needs to be looked into and diversified into. And if not, you might sort of fall behind the curve a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Everybody should have some Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Such a
Starting from you and I, Shreyas.
yeah, starting from you and I need to look into this a little bit. If I'm going to connect with Pradeep offline and figure out what is the easiest way to set up an account and get there. I think we should do another one on that as well. That's something to consider.
Yes.
How to get
Sure.
started. Yeah.
Okay.
One last question for
Yeah.
Pradeep. So do you
All right.
ever see Bitcoin being a legal tender in the foreseeable future?
So El Salvador has declared it legal tender recently, and we may see other countries declaring it legal tender. I don't think it is quite, there are transaction fees, and there are L2 networks, but I think it's more of a store of value rather than legal tender.
Exactly, because
Uh,
even I subscribe to that thought process. Because
mhm,
once this becomes a legal tender, basically governments have to invariably give up their control, right?
right.
So once government has to give up their control, then there is a whole political instability kind of a phase that the countries will be in. So I don't think the governments will ever allow these things to become the, what do you call, the official mode of
Yeah.
currency, but definitely they will be here for quite some time as asset classes. And yeah,
Mm.
Shreyas, you and
I would not be surprised to see a government, I'm expecting this to happen within the next 5 to 10 years. Governments will say we have Bitcoin as a store of reserve, and this is a sovereign wealth fund. That I'm expecting. I don't think that too many big governments are going to make it legal tender and say, you can spend it in our country.
I mean, who knows? Down the line, we might have
Yeah,
EPFO saying that as a diversification, we're also investing in cryptos. I mean, I don't
exactly.
know how many years or decades it'll take them, but they'll say, hey, this is the EPFO, right? So awesome.
Mhm.
So Pradeep, you put out some great content on your Twitter channel, I believe, on so which we'll leave the link to in the description. You should follow him. You should check him out. Like. A lot of it will go over your head, as it has with me as well. But I think it's time that people start putting in a little bit more effort. You have to. There's no excuse for denying yourself financial education, whatever is current. So, yeah, such a
Absolutely.
pleasure, Pradeep. Had an amazing time, and looking forward to like catching up with you more on this.
All right. Thank you very much, there. Thank you, Praful. All right.
Thanks,
See
Pradeep,
you
for
around.
spending your valuable time here. And I'm sure that this podcast is going to be a great session of value for our audience. And we'll be looking forward to have more conversations with you in the future.
Sure, sure. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
All
All
right.
right, guys, take care.
Bye.
Yep. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode of Decluttered. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for watching. Please post any questions you have in the comment section. Also, do not forget to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. To find us on Twitter, Telegram, and Facebook, use the username NiftyBN. Also, we post some of our trades to the community tab, so do not forget to check that from time to time.